One, two, three, four.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Breakfast with Brothers.
What's up, people? Breakfast with Brothers coming at you. What's good?
Live and alive.
Thriving and striving.
Well, maybe not live, but yeah, definitely thriving and striving, on a very gloomy day as of today.
It's literally
But we're
been
still
raining
here.
here since 9 a.m. It hasn't stopped.
Oh yeah, it's been pretty much the same here. But that's usually Fredonia in general. So, but yeah, so today we got a cool little topic that we enjoy, and maybe some of you guys might think is a little boring, but playing wise is a lot of fun. Maybe watching is another story, but we are discussing golf today.
Golf. In all its beauty. Especially if, like Ian said, you're playing, it can actually be a lot of fun. If you're watching, I don't think I've ever taken an interest in watching. Highlights. But that goes for all sports. I'm the same way with football and basketball. I mean, even the Olympics, I'm watching highlights. And that only comes on every, 2 years, I guess, if you count the Winter Olympics. But 4 years for the good ones.
I mean, personally, I like watching golf. I've never, if I caught it, then I'd watch it. It's just like, it's always some weird times with golf, and what I do really enjoy watching, though, is the Masters. Like, that's always a good time. Because there's always it's always someone nasty, like, hitting some crazy shot. But other than that,
too. Augusta's totally playable. Like, you and I could, go and play Augusta today. I mean, there's some holes that are super exceptions. But
no, we can't.
As...
We can't just go and play Augusta, dude. That you need
I'm
to
not
be
saying
invited.
like that. I don't mean that. I mean as far as the playability of the course. Like, it's not the most difficult course out there.
Yeah, no,
but it's true. You do have to be invited. It's, a very, very private club. Super private, even.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's extremely, extremely difficult to get just the chance to play at Augusta. But yeah, I would definitely contest that there are harder courses, like actual true Scottish courses. Like, I would say that those are probably much more difficult to actually play than, like, the pristine laser cut Augusta National,
Well, that's the thing. Once you start adding in super high grass, start adding in the shoreline at a beach, bunkers. Actually, not even normal bunkers, pot bunkers specifically, ones that you're standing in and your head is at the level that you're trying to hit over, stuff like that. And then, of course,
lower.
When the rough cut is, like fairway is your lowest cut as far as anywhere that's not the green or the tee box. But then after that, when the rough becomes so thick that you can't find your ball normally, it's, the grass that looks short, but in reality it's like 2 golf ball lengths long, and you're hitting out of that, and it's just terror.
Yeah, I guess for those who don't play golf that are listening, it's pretty straightforward game. There goes Zach. Well, I'll just walk us through. Just for anyone that doesn't know how to play, you start at the tee box, you drive off of it. That's pretty much the start of the game. You have 9 holes or you have 18 holes, and you're pretty much aiming for the fairway, which is the perfect cut. It's thin. It's low and it's easy to hit off of. Then you have, what is it? Your first cut, your technical
After
first
the
cut.
fairway?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, I guess realistically it could be a rough. Some people mow a fairway collar, but not very often does that happen. So it'll be like your first rough, and then usually they'll do a second rough, and then it'll be your fescue or out of bounds in a lot of courses. But most of the time, most courses that aren't like, that you and I are playing at, not any professional level or anything, it's just straight to fairway and then first rough, and then that's, pretty much it. After that, it's just a rough. You can have some trees or whatever. There's not really a lot of out of bounds at municipal courses or public courses or anything, so.
Yeah, and so the whole purpose is obviously to get the ball to the hole in the least amount of strokes. So obviously you want to try to hit it straight or left or right, whichever way the fairway is going. and try to stay within the fairway. Obviously, you can hit it into the rough, but it's going to be a little bit harder. And then you have differing clubs as you get closer and closer. So you start with a driver, and then you can go to like a 3-wood next if you didn't hit it far enough, or, you know, like an iron. So you have your driver, which is a part of your woods, and then you have your irons, and then you have your wedges, and then you have your putter. Each of these clubs, as they go higher in number, become, you know, I guess a shorter shot. So your putter would be, yeah.
The lie angle is more shallow.
Yeah, so you'd get up to like a 9-iron, and then from there it's like separate wedges, and they have different names like a pitching wedge, lob wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge, plenty of different wedges. Then you get into like 60 degrees, 65 degrees, 69 degrees. You can also have like a 56, a 58, or a 57, whichever it is. They all differ. And then you have your putter, of course. But that's the overall aspect. You just want to get to the hole in the least amount of shots. But what Zach and I really wanted to talk about today is our excitement for the new season to play some goddamn golf.
Thank goodness. This rain, this snow's got to get the hell out of here. I've been waiting too long. Although I will say, did get to golf in February. That was something that I didn't expect to do.
Facts. I was there for that, and it was amazing.
Hell yeah. Real life out here. And that's the thing. It probably won't happen again. But with it coming around the bend, we're going to have to deal with the rainy season and all that garbage. But golf to be had once you can actually play. The ground's not moist. And you can actually drive around the golf cart without worry. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Because you could go out and drink on the golf course. You could go out and smoke a couple stogs on the golf course. You could go there completely sober. Hell, you could walk if you wanted to. I mean, there's not a lot of people doing that now, but it is cheaper. Some places will even let you just get out there early in the season for free if you don't want to take a cart out. So,
yeah, it's a little tough playing golf in New York because we have a relatively short, like, dry season. And then on top of that, it's also extremely dry in the summer when it gets hot out, which sucks for the grass on these courses. But I will say, like, right at the end of spring is like perfect time. Like the grass is good. You know, it might be a little wet, but that's, you know, usually it's not too much of an issue. But like once you get into summer, it gets a little dry. There's some good spots in summer, definitely. But once you get into like the hotter months, like July and August, it gets really dry out there, and it gets really hot. Obviously, it's not like we're playing down at like Pebble Beach or something like that, but it's definitely a challenge.
With, you know, a little bit of irrigation in the summer, you're fine as far as that goes. But playing in the hot is a different story than whatever your course quality looks like. Right. Sweating your nuts off, your armpits and your back are now completely a different color on your shirt because you just can't help it. And then you're hitting up the cart girl every 2 holes because you just finished your last beer or water or soda or what have you. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for sure. Not that I'm one to call the cart girl every couple holes and just rip money away. I'm usually the dude who's packing like a bag of, you know, whatever. If it's beer or just sodas or waters, I'm always the dude bringing stuff on the course. Now, most of the time they're going to tell you can't. But I'm also not telling you to abide by those rules. And you didn't hear it from me. So pretend like this podcast and this little knowledge dump doesn't exist.
Listen, man. You know, that's why golf bags got other pockets for other things that obviously it's usually just empty.
It's kind of meant to be that way.
You know, playing on the golf team in high school. I wasn't bringing alcohol on the golf course in high school. Just disclaimer. No, I mean like those pockets that I did have that like were pretty much useless for anything else that I needed for golf. I had like everything in there. I had like a jacket, an umbrella, like an extra pair of gloves for when I like the first part of the season. Let's see, what else did I bring?
Toting the golf shoes, the raincoat.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was mainly just raincoat, umbrella, gloves, because I have played golf in the snow before. That was crazy. And usually I had like an extra pair of shoes or an extra pair of like socks after like I finished my match, because unlike most golf seasons in high school, which were supposed to be like in the fall, and most schools did it in the fall, we had ours in the spring. So it was extremely wet right off the get-go, because you're figuring we started like March. I mean, we started practicing in like January, February, like indoors. But then like our season really started in like March and April, and like that's when we got like our matches out, and then went into May, of course.
Right.
But so here we are out in like, the middle of March. It's pouring snow. We're getting out there playing with white golf balls. Obviously it's going to be perfect to see. But yeah, those pockets definitely are clutch, especially now that I go out onto the course and have a couple brewskis, especially if the place doesn't allow it.
Especially, yeah, and that's the best time to do it. But I feel like now, my bag is a cart bag now. It doesn't have like stand-up legs for putting your bag down or whatever. But I do have more pockets, which means more storage for everything. And I'm not really big on bringing a whole lot of stuff with me. Of course, besides what you're playing with, your tees, your golf balls, and your glove, the clubs obviously are in the bag. But besides that, I'm pretty much bringing with me, like I have that card game, you could play out on the course or whatever. My rain cover for the clubs. I don't ever bring a coat separate unless I know it's going to rain. Water bottle, big time. And then just some other random stuff like the club head cleaner, the divot repair tool, stuff, little stuff. Usually the pockets aren't getting full until you get to the course with buying more drink but like Ian too, I've golfed in the winter, bringing a couple sweatshirts along. Gets brutal out there when you're playing on a course that's just wide open, the wind's rolling through. You're kind of dealing with a little bit of everything. Not only you're playing, and most of the time when those days were hitting, you were playing bad golf. So you're dealing with bad golf, cold weather, you got gloves on your hands in between shots. I mean, it becomes a mess. But it's for the love of the game at the end of it all.
Dude, yeah, it was definitely tough playing out in the cold. I mean, just in general. It's always tough playing in the cold with whatever you're doing. And again, that comes back to playing golf within New York State. You want to get out there as soon as you can, and like the next chance you got.
Oh yeah.
And like we found that out in February. It got really cold after the sunset. Like even though it was like 60s during the day, dude. But playing in high school when we first started like out like in the beginning matches, it was like terrible because I remember the first season I was like 6th seat, which is not good for those that like have played golf in high school. 6th or 7th seat, so I was basically just like a +1 to the team. But then when I like kind of grew through the ranks and I was sitting at like the 1 seat and I'm playing trash golf like in March, it sucks. It feels terrible.
Not showing up for the team at the 1 seat if you're playing trash golf.
Yeah, no. It just, the cold really pulls it out of you. But besides that, I am very excited for this season. I'm really going to be playing a lot of golf this summer. I'd like to at least. Hopefully I can get out there and really just start slamming shit away.
That's the hope. Yeah, I got my clubs all geared up. Just replaced my driver shaft because I snapped the end of it where my grip was. For everyone listening, Ian knows. Put a new grip on that bad chicken, and then replaced my putter grip. Oh man, that thing was old, but it was gold. I will say old but gold. But the new grip is like the whole idea behind it is that it's tacky. So when you're putting your gloves on it, it doesn't slip and slide or move around. You kind of just are gripped to it through your putting stance. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to change my golf game. Like I'm not going to lower my handicap by a few strokes or anything, but it's nice to be able to have updated equipment so that way you're going into it and you feel more confident. I don't know if there's anything anywhere that says, oh yes, new clubs will completely change your game. But I know people that go into it with a mind manipulation where their mental state says that if I'm playing confident golf, I'm playing good golf. So
yeah, I mean, like it's definitely like I've had the same clubs for a while now, and like obviously I would love to get some new irons. My driver's pretty solid. It's been a struggle trying to like build my driver back up to what it used to be. I really could not hit with it for the life of me for the longest time. Now I've really started like correcting it and like actually figuring out how to use it. But I could really use like a new putter and some new irons, but those are expensive. I mean, golf clubs, for anyone that knows, are extremely expensive, especially if you're going like name brand. Like, forget about buying Callaway, bro. You might as well just toss your entire like mortgage into some Callaway clubs.
Well,
But,
if you make decent money, you could put one whole week's check on a set of irons. But if not, that's like 2 or 3 weeks worth of paychecks.
that's just the
Because
irons too.
irons alone, and this could just be, you might get lucky, from a pitching wedge to a 4-iron. I don't think they really include 3 irons in many sets anymore. But if you do get that 3-iron, you could pretty much look anywhere from like $800 to like $1,500, and that's just irons. I mean, I'm assuming they'll throw in a fitting for you because you're paying so much money, but I don't know if they throw in grips. I haven't bought my own iron set yet, so it's something that eventually I'll check out. But I'm still using my irons. They're still in good shape. I only broke my 3-iron over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, so I'm in good spirits.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like my irons, I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, they're Spaldings, which I love my irons. Like, as old as they are, they were hand-me-downs. They were like the first things that I was really good with, and I can never go wrong with my irons most times. Of course,
right.
I can go wrong with my irons, but and it happens quite frequently. But I'm pretty solid with my irons, if I'm being honest, and I'm not necessarily looking for anything spectacular, but I would like some new stuff sooner or later. But that's when I got the money to spend. Same with like a new bag. Like, obviously, I could use these things.
Oh yeah.
But no rush to do it. And that's kind of like the great thing about golf, is that you can pretty much use any clubs, and unless they're like I mean like really bad, like they have like dry rotted handles, or like the shafts are like kind of like splitting for whatever reason. If you have like what are they? They're not fiberglass shafts, are they? What
Graphite.
are they? Graphite. Graphite shafts. If you like hear some cracking, sometimes that's not good. It means it's splintering inside or something like that. Obviously, at that point, you would want to look towards like maybe some other things. But my irons are actual irons. Like I think it's like steel shafts or something like that.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Steel shafts are the way to go for sure. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
my hand-me-downs from, shout out John the Baker. He had a whole set of steel shafts, random driver, and a little wonky putter. I think that first putter was the teardrop donut putter.
Yeah, the donut putter.
The goated putter. Yeah, this thing looked like it was just a fat chunk of metal that looked like a balled fist attached to the end of a shaft. And I mean, I was hitting putts with it, but it was one of those things where super old school. It looked like something that was hammered on like an anvil by a blacksmith or something. But from there, it kind of excelled into finding other people's hand-me-downs clubs. But that's kind of how people get into the game. When they don't know much about golf, they don't really want to spend a lot of money because they hear getting into it, oh, it's a doctor's game, you're going to be paying membership fees, you're going to be buying new clubs, you're going to have to go out and pay greens fees every time you go. And yes, it can add up very fast, but you get yourself a pair of hand-me-downs for free, or Facebook Marketplace has got them for cheap. Or another really easy way to do it is, if you want something that's new, but you don't want to break the bank, go to Dick's. Just buy that starter set. You're not going to get everything. You'll get like one wood, your driver, your putter, handful of irons, one wedge to do everything with. It's not ideal, but it's a starting point. Because when you're first starting golf, you think it's going to be easy. You're going to pick it up really quick. No, it's not going to be easy.
No,
And
it's
if you're
not
good
easy
at
at
it,
all.
power to you, because then you should go out and play every day. If you pick it up like that, hats off. We're gonna start clapping for you. As soon as we find out you're good like that, you're coming out with us. That's it. It's game over.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think I got my hand-me-downs from the Phillips. The Phillipses. I got these. Majority of it was just like the Spalding wedges, or not wedges, irons, and like everything else kind of was. It wasn't great, but it did the job. Like, I had actual woods, like the actual club faces were made of wood, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, definitely like a different feeling when you actually hit the shot. It feels amazing. You feel so powerful. But not like great like some drivers that you have today. And like my driver, I think I got for like my birthday, or like I purchased it myself or something. I can't remember how I got my driver, but I got all these other clubs from either small purchases or they were given to me. Like I think Arthur gave me the lob wedge that I have, the Mizuno lob wedge, which I love.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that
Yep,
club.
yep, yep.
Probably one of my favorite lob wedges I've ever used, and I've used other people's lob wedges before. But yeah, it's a tough game. It definitely is, and I will say that the Dick's Top Flight set are actually pretty damn good for the price and what you get. Not that I have personally bought them myself. I know a couple people that do have the full set, and they're pretty good. For what you're paying for and what you're starting out with, for someone who's never played golf before, they're great.
Absolutely.
So if you're thinking about it and you really want to get into some golf, like I highly suggest like looking into that kit, because they also have like different kits as well, like maybe a little bit higher in price if you're really trying to like if you know like you want to play golf and you want to go out there and have something a little bit better, they have different kits as well, like even more clubs added into the bag. But I would say like for anyone just flat out starting out and they're just trying to like have something to use, pretty good price for the starter kit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if it's something that you're interested in, I mean, like Ian said, New York's a interesting place to golf. It's not like the best place to be. Obviously, places down south like Florida or Georgia, Alabama are better. Even the West Coast, go to California, in and around there, Oregon, Nevada, great golf. But it's just one of those things. If you're in New York, we've been putting up with it, for the majority of our life. Not that I've been golfing my whole life. I picked it up late, kind of senior year, late junior year, and then played more in college. But now, going 7, almost 8 years strong, I think. It's one of those things where it's nice to be able to get out, enjoy the vibes in nature. Not that you're going hiking or anything, you're pretty much driving a golf cart around just golf course land. But it's nice, to just be outside, just doing your thing. A little bit of athleticism, there's not a whole lot. You could pretty much golf in a pair of shorts and a tee at some places. Other places you gotta, wear a decent pair of shorts with a polo. Some other places that get even more fancy, they won't let you go out unless you're wearing pants, golf cleats, a polo, and a hat. So, all depending on where you go and how expensive you want to make your experience, you can really start the game for little to no money. Like Ian and I, like we were saying, getting clubs passed down is huge. And then being able to also trade, barter, or have friends who are in the game that have stuff to give you. And then you could pretty much find golf balls on any golf course you go to. You lose a ball in the woods, you come out with 6 more. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, hell, if you go by yourself, it's going to be hard to like get stuff like tees or like a divot repair tool, or like cleats for your first round or whatever. But all that stuff, comes. Like if you go into the pro shop and you don't have any balls, they have some for you for cheap. Go into the pro shop, you don't have any tees, they have some of those too. I mean, you could even rent clubs. Like if you're interested in golf, you could go and make it happen. That's the nice thing about it. And pretty much everyone I've met that owns, I shouldn't say owns, that runs like a pro shop or a country club or a local course, they're all most of the time pretty friendly. And they're also, happy to tell you about the course, about how they came up in the game, if they can help you. They offer lessons too in some cases. And you find a couple buddies, that's it. Forget about it. You're going to never put down the game again. So I can't really speak for Ian's behalf, but every time that I've ever spoken to someone, I think I've only had like one bad experience with a mean golf owner, golf pro shop, whoever's running it, manager or what have you. So
yeah, I wouldn't say there was too many experiences where I've had like a bad pro shop manager or anything like that. I think I've only ever had really like one. But on that behalf, we were probably fucking around or something anyways.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like you go to some of these more classy and upscaled golf courses, still have these people called rangers that you need to check in with for every 9 holes you play. Like when you get there, you set up your clubs in the golf cart, or if you're walking, you just head up to the country club or the pro shop or whatever, pay your dues, and then you get in your golf cart or walk to the first hole, and you'll see some dude just hanging, just vibing. He's usually there for check-in, making sure you pulled up on time. And yes, in golf, you do set appointments. They're called tee times. And then once you get down there, I've met some pretty nasty rangers who are just like, listen, you follow the rules. If I catch you out there messing around, that's it. You're gone. But then you also find the rangers who are like, hey, I know everyone's here today just doing their own thing. Just try to follow the rules best you can. Don't be crazy with it. And those are the guys that you hand a beer to on the way by because they understand. And that's how the game is. You kind of come in with a little bit of, how should I say, elegancy, and then you also want to be able to have respect for where you're at. There's other people playing. It's like if you went and played tennis at a club or racquetball, or if I can't think of other like club sports and stuff like that, but there's other people around. You're representing not only yourself but the golf course too. And if they're going to keep you there and they want to take your money, they kind of expect a little bit of respect.
Yeah, I guess it's like, even if you look at it like bowling, obviously you don't want to like
Bowling.
walk into someone else's like path while they're trying to throw their ball down the lane.
Sure. You're also not going into a bowling alley and just shouting and screaming. I mean, yeah, sure. If you're in league and everyone else is there and you're celebrating, completely different story. But it's just like any other sport. You got respect for the other people that are playing. I'm trying to think of like another game. I mean, even some table games, you don't try to interfere with people's serves or shots or what they're doing or jump into other games. I guess that's one of those common things among all sports, that you need to have a certain level of respect for your opponents or people that you're not even playing with, people you're not even playing against, just people that are trying to enjoy the game. You got to have a little bit of awareness.
Yeah, you just got to, it's like you always see those signs. I don't know if anyone's ever really like watched any golf or caught any clips. They always have the quiet sign up.
Oh, the quiet sign, yeah.
It's definitely like a real thing. Like, obviously you want to try to stay like relatively quiet for someone teeing off. Obviously if you're with your buddies and there's no one else like around, like that's also like close by, who cares, like, yeah. Obviously you can fuck around with them. But that's like understood. Point is that like, yeah, I've encountered some really, really annoying rangers, that just want nothing more than to just get you in and out as quickly as possible. Sure. Their job is to like keep the momentum of play continuing so that they can have no issue with people coming up to the tee next and having the next group and having the next group and just making sure everyone's following the rules and
right.
keeping pace. Man, there's some pissers sometimes. But yeah, I mean, golf is a very like etiquette-based sport where there's a lot of rules and small like by rules and such. Especially when like I was playing in high school, there was a lot of rules that I didn't know about. And of course, when you're playing with your friends, who the hell cares? It's like, well, your ball plugged, we can't find it. Just drop another one, and it doesn't really matter. Whereas like if you're playing in league, or I shouldn't say league. When I was playing in high school, it was like, well, either you find the ball or that's like, an added stroke on top of that, like a stroke penalty for like losing your ball. Same things goes for like if you hit out of bounds. It's like, oh, okay, we'll just toss it right in, or like take a club in from the out of bounds line and then hit it like when you're playing with buddies. And it's like, okay, well, that's another stroke penalty for hitting out of bounds. Or it could be 2 stroke penalties if you hit it into the water.
Right.
So it's like a lot of these things like do matter, and then on the other hand, they don't matter. But if you're playing with buddies, that's the best part. It's because you're just doing it for shits and giggles, having a good time.
And you're learning, you're bettering yourself, and that's the whole point of getting out with people that you like to play with. I've played with some people that I don't like to play with, and as long as you're respecting their space and they're respecting yours, yeah, I've gotten along with people that I wouldn't necessarily have seen myself golfing with previously, and ends up being a good game. And that's the thing too, where it brings together people that you wouldn't necessarily hang out with otherwise. I mean, I know when I first started golfing, I started playing with other people that I didn't know were golfers, and then you start golfing, you're like, oh yeah, I'd play with this dude again. And now that I'm working, at a golf course, being able to play with these guys, like, I don't think I would have met them otherwise. So it's one of those things where every time you get a new experience, new golf course, a buddy brings a buddy, you end up just building this network of golf possibilities that end up being endless. And that's the nice thing about it, where you could just go out and play 9 holes in a couple hours. Or if you have a free weekend, you could go out, play a full round of 18 holes in, 4 or 5 hours. And I think that's the nice part, where if you are a golfer and you have the time and your significant other isn't always nagging at you and they like actually the fact that you play golf, you can get out for a weekend, even hell, 2 days in a row. Just spend some time outdoors, swing some club, get a little bit of exercise in. Golf goes a long way because it's not, soccer or baseball where you're running around a lot and, having to play with, 15 other guys. You could play golf alone, play with 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Some golf courses say, hell, bring a 6th guy out here on a random Thursday afternoon. We don't care. So I think that's the good thing about golf is it's versatile.
Yeah, it's definitely something. You can't have like a massive group. Like it's tough to bring out like say any group over 6 people. Like 6 is a lot. 5 is a lot.
It is. Well, 4 is the norm, but you're right.
4
6
like
is a lot.
6 is a lot for like a golf course, especially if it's a busy golf course.
Yeah, 100%. Busy golf courses likely won't let you.
Yeah, it's usually the max you can have on like something that like you're really setting a tee time for, and like it's like a busy day, like a Saturday or a Sunday. You're getting out with 4 people. That's it.
Yeah.
But like if you go during like the week, like say like what is it, twilight hours, like 4 o'clock on. Like,
yeah,
you can definitely get 6 people out, but you're not going to be able to play too many holes. You maybe get like 9 holes in for like the twilight hour.
Sure.
Depending on if you have more than 4 people.
But that's golf. So hopefully we've inspired you to pick up the game because we know that's how we got into it. A couple buddies that said, "Hey, you ever try this?" And I said, "No," and I've never looked back.
Yeah. I was gonna say Zach's the one that introduced me, so he started my love for golf, and I'm finally getting like fully back into it now. So it's been a long time coming. I've been very distracted from it, so I'm glad to be really like back in it.
Oh baby.
But yeah, besides that, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for coming out today, listen to our little golf chat. As per usual, if you're listening on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment. We love hearing from you guys. So any other, things you want to hear us talk about, say, do, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But besides that, this is where we leave. Peace.
Out for the I'm walking the bull, out for the out for the out for the out for the out for the
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.